Good morning and welcome to Outnumbered on this beautiful day. My name is Ramsey Enoch and I have Antonia Nwokolo in the studio this morning. Good morning, Antonia.
Good morning, Ramsey.
And I also have Christopher in the studio this morning. Good morning,
Good morning, the man on the yellow tie.
Okay, I thought you wanted to say
red tie.
I thought you wanted to say
Good morning,
red.
Mr. Christopher.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Well, you know, women, there's something with women when it comes to love. There's something with them. They don't forget that easily. She's still in the euphoria
I'm still in Valentine.
Yeah, that is
Valentine.
because of their nature, they are always at the receiving end of Valentine.
All right,
No.
we're actually transmitting love
Not
this
at
morning.
all.
We are transmitting love this morning, and that's the reason we're bringing you
Yes.
to speed with the headlines for the day,
Exactly.
so that you can stay informed. If you're not informed, you are deformed, and we wouldn't want you to be deformed. So let's take you straight to the headlines that we have for the day. The first headline is coming from the Daily Trust newspaper, where the big story says, rising cooking gas price, Nigerians resort to charcoal, firewood. Well, the details of that you can actually get on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And I also have this headline still coming from the Daily Trust. It says, OPay redefines customer service with innovative solutions and expanded accessibility. You can get the details of that on page 24 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Let's move down the line, and I also have this one which says, a federal government not sure of crime to charge Emefiele with. This one is coming from Akpabio, and the details of that you can actually get on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. You are all familiar with the case of the former CBN governor, talking about Godwin Emefiele, who he's been in custody, you know, and he's been charged with so many things, from money laundering to
Firearms.
Even
though he has been given,
granted bail. He's been granted bail. But then the federal government coming up to say, well, federal government not sure of crime to charge Emefiele with. Akpabio saying this morning sounds confusing, but then you can just get to your vendor, pick a copy of the Daily Trust newspaper. If that story actually catches your fancy, look through it and keep yourself abreast with what the headline is all about. Let's quickly get to the next paper, which is going to be coming from Antonia.
All right, so on the Vanguard newspaper, the story at the topmost, rising cost of living may lead to social unrest in Nigeria, says the AFDB. You know, they say a hungry man is an angry man. So this statement is actually very true. With the rising cost of living, the hardship, Nigerians may begin to resort to crimes and other activities that would make this society unstable, make citizens living unstable. So now, naira depreciation, inflation, eroding value of insured assets. Details of that story is on page 20 of the Vanguard newspaper. Edo 2024, APC gets 3 candidates. Agba threatens legal action. Details of that story on page 28 of the Vanguard newspaper. And now the big story on the Vanguard newspaper, hardship paralyzing lives nationwide, says the Catholic Bishops Conference of Nigeria and also the Christian Association of Nigeria. Everyone is speaking up. The hardship is taking a deep toll on Nigerians. The cost of living is increasing, the prices of food. You go to a shop to inquire about the price of maybe a particular food item. Yeah. Come back in the next 2 hours and that price has doubled or even tripled. And it's alarming, and Nigerians are worried because your paycheck is not even enough. It wasn't enough before. Now that the cost of living is increasing, Nigerians are wondering, would it be enough to sustain us and live better lives, and our standard of living still remain the same or even better? Okay, food face governance. Federal government, APC slam PDP governors. Details of that story on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. Presidency, Atiku at war over federal government's forex policy. We can find the details of that story on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. And that's the size of our headlines on the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
Yes, and on the nations, Shetima, Akume, Akpabio, and Wike promise that the hardship will be over very soon in the country. That you will find on the page 4 of the Nation's newspaper. And then again, petrol tanker owners suspend product loading. Of course, this is Nigeria for you. Everybody wants to take advantage of situation. Even as these 4 gentlemen, that is the Vice President, Akume, the SGF, Akpabio, and Wike are promising Nigerians that the hardship will be over. We also have something coming our way that we don't know how soon it will end. The owners of petrol tanker have stopped or are planning to stop loading of the product. And then the former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, is advising the federal government to stimulate local production so that forest crisis can come to an end. And of course, the biggest news or the big news on the Nation's newspaper is a tribute, to to former governor of Ondo State, Aketi, by Senator Jimo Ibrahim. That is all we have from the Nation's newspaper this morning.
All right, thank you very much, Christopher, for the headlines, and Antonia for the ones you took. Let's quickly get to the last headlines that we have for the day, and that's going to be coming from the Leadership newspaper. And I still have OP trending like it was in Daily Trust. The headlines here says OP redefines customer service with innovative solutions and expanded accessibility. The details of that you can actually get on page 19 of the Leadership newspaper. Then I also have this headline, which says, all right, let me take this one. This is a big story. Edo governorship primaries. You know, the primaries in Edo State has been creating some kind of attention lately, but then it's still on. How presidency and twisted APC leadership, all that. The details of that you can get on page 4. All right, and just one rider to that story: confusion trails Idahosa, Ekpobolo, Dickens emergence as candidates. Well, let's see how that is going to end at the end of the day, because of what is happening in Edo State. If you look at what is happening in Edo State, election in Edo State, the way it's going as if it's a national like a presidential election.
Yes, a
lot of people are interested in that election. I don't know.
Yeah, because when you look at before the election that brought in Obaseki, you see that it was a total fallout between Obaseki and his godfather, Adams Oshomole. Yeah. Now there is again a fallout between Obaseki, the governor, and his deputy, Shaibu, who is also contesting. And then when you also, but again, APC is hell-bent. This time around is like Oshomole wants to get what he has lost in the state, so he's trying to use all power within APC to get it back, and that is why you see he, according to the news, if you read deeply, you understand that they say the presidency outsmarts the National Working Committee of the APC. One of the big fish there is supporting Idahosa to become the governor of the state.
And that was what the people don't want, imposing someone on them. Remember the issue of the now governor, talking of Obaseki, trying to impose someone on them. And we had an interview with some of the supporters of Shaibu, and all of them were saying, hey, you don't have to impose someone on us. Well, just pick the papers and go through that and get more details. That is all the way from Edo State. Then still from here, from the leadership, I'm going to take this, and this is going to be my last. Fuel scarcity looms as tanker owners withdraw vehicles today. And the details of that you can actually get on page 29 of the Leadership newspaper. And this is going to be the size of the headlines for this morning. Let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return back again, and we are coming back with a big story. It's actually big. You don't have to go anywhere far away from your screen. It's still going to be Ramsey, Antonia, and Christopher. We will be back.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleketv. Visit our website at www.oweleketv for a thrilling journey. Oweleketv, rising star at the fairground.
Welcome back from that break. Outnumber still live on your screen with Ramsey, Antonia, and Christopher. We told you we're returning back with the big story, and it's so good that you are still there. What's the big story all about? It's no longer news that I'm looking for an adjective to use, because if I say hardship, I think hardship is even mild to me.
Words cannot describe.
Words cannot even describe the situation of what is happening in Nigeria right now. But then let's just look at the headlines and pick this big story, which we have already done. And it's coming from the Vanguard newspaper. Anthony actually took that headlines
Yes.
where it says hardship paralyzing lives nationwide. Nationwide. No exemption in this case. Nationwide. The young, the old, I don't want to say the rich too, because some persons are claiming to be elites of the elites, like the president
1%,
said.
the 1%.
All right, the 1% that are always exempted from hardships in Nigeria. But then, as a matter of fact, from here, the Catholic bishops and the Christian Association of Nigeria have actually come out to say hardship is paralyzing lives nationwide, which is not a lie at all. Everyone, if you look at the writers to the story, it says Nigeria in her worst of times with insecurity, economy, graft. Another one says add hunger, okay, causing serious humanitarian crisis. Then the last writer to that story is coming from the SGF, all right, talking of George Akume. He said federal government working to resolve economic challenges and others. This is a statement we've heard over times. Even the president said, was it last week also, that he is aware of the hardship, but then there is no any other way out than this, meaning something is going on that we don't know yet. But I think it is high time, all right, to let us know what is actually going on. The constant fall of Naira is alarming. People are going through so much. The trauma, the psychological problems people are facing, because sometimes people cannot even think straight anymore. Hunger in the land, killing. Look at what happened in Kaduna State on Sunday. See, for the bishop to come to say this, the bishops have come to say this in their meeting, and Christian Association of Nigeria. Sometimes, if it is coming from PDP and Labour Party, APC will say, well, because they are opposition party. But now, this one is coming from clergies.
In fact, they have even advised PDP governors to face governance, because PDP governors met and they sent a strong message to APC, because they are at the federal level, that people are going through a lot. And instead of them to maybe accept such positive criticism with good faith, they are giving it back in a negative way to the PDP Governors Forum. But of course, this is democracy. And in democracy, opposition criticism is the best way to get things right. So, but for you to make up your mind, to understand that people must tell you things that you cannot see on your own. There are things you can see or you know about yourself. There are things other people may know better about you. So I think APC should also listen to PDP.
Even apart from that, there is always a place for constructive criticism.
And I think
so
they give
if you are a leader, these are some of the things you should take into cognizance.
Exactly.
Welcome it. Go back to the drawing board.
Yes.
Go back to the drawing board. Do the check and balance. What people are saying, is it true? How is it affecting the economy? So for you to just keep quiet over everything and said, well, they are trying to criticize us because the opposition party, it's not it at all. It is all about the people. Governance is not all about party. It is all about the people. And this is democracy, for crying out loud.
Exactly.
Government of the people, for the people, and by the people.
Yes.
But now the people are pushed aside and one set of people are the one in governance. They are governing themselves, doing everything for themselves, and not even taking the people into cognizance at all. So, Tonia, please, can you add your voice to this conversation? What do you think about this statement coming from the Catholic bishops and Christian Association of Nigeria? Hardship paralyzing lives nationwide. Are you of the same school of thought?
Honestly, I'm of the same school of thought, because for them to come out to make this statement means that it is very glaring. It is not something, it's so obvious that Nigerians are suffering, Nigerians are in serious dilemma, and if nothing is done, if care is not taken, like we saw in one of the headlines on the Vanguard newspaper, that it could lead to social unrest. First of all, we've not recovered from the insecurity that has plagued Nigeria in over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
From the festive period up till now, the insecurity was on the rise. We've not recovered from that.
Down to the FCT here.
Down to the FCT. In fact, the FCT was actually the FCT in
Yes.
insecurity.
Yes.
So now, we've not, we're trying to grapple the effects and, let's try to be vigilant and everything. And then the cost of living is increasing on a daily. So now the Catholic bishops and the Christian Association of Nigeria saying this is actually to let the government know that you are not putting in the efforts we want the government to put in. You're not putting it right. Because if you're actually doing something, they keep promising us, they keep telling us that efforts are being made, actions will be taken, and we're in the works, is in progress for revolution to occur. Certain things we need to pass through the fire, certain things need to happen for Nigeria to become better. But this thing is looking at as though there is no light at the end of the tunnel. That's exactly what the situation of Nigeria is now.
It's looking like though there is no light at the end of the tunnel, meaning the hope is slim. If there is hope at all.
Very
If there is hope at all. But then, if there is life, there must be hope. So let's just keep faith alive. Let's keep hope alive. Let's just keep trusting God. Let's keep praying. But prayer, because faith without work is dead. We need to do something. The federal government really need to do something. So, Christopher, I just want to ask you this in few minutes. Can you respond to this? The federal government keeps saying, like, even on this issue, hear what the SGF said. He said the federal government is working to resolve the economic challenges. Do you see the federal government doing anything in that direction? Because every country have their own issues. All right. People in Nigeria is actually boiling because of the heat, all right, of some of the policies of the government. The subsidy removal and every other policy that came with this from this administration. So what would you have to say?
Yes. First of all, I would like us to understand that right now, the hardship is a global problem. It's a global crisis, actually. It happens in any economy. But the question now is that, is the federal government of Nigeria deliberate? Is the federal government of Nigeria assertive? Are they objective in their policies? What policy or policies do we have on ground to checkmate the hardship that we are passing through? Now let us go by some normal analysis that everybody, even a secondary school student can understand. You are using naira in your country, but everything about what you purchase is in dollar. The federal government have succeeded in dollarizing the economy of Nigeria. Now, most of them, if they are even traveling out of this country, instead of going with naira, then change it out there to use the destination's currency, they will prefer to even change the naira to dollar here before flying out. When you do that, what do you do? What do you think happens to your economy? The senators bought fleets of cars recently. Were those cars bought in naira, or they were bought in dollars? Now we know that we have problems. The problems already they are here. Even the Catholic bishop, the CBCN and the CAN, they also, yesterday on Facebook, I argued with somebody that picked offense with me, maybe because he felt I was challenging the bishop of a particular diocese. What I asked, my Lord, what are you doing to help the poor to combat the hardship? So the question now is, the Catholic bishop, the CBCN, what are they doing to bring us out of the hardship in their respective dioceses? Nigeria is blessed with good land, fertile land, but is the church going into agriculture? Is the church investing in agriculture? Is CAN asking federal government to allot land and even give them tractors for them to go into farming?
I think in addition to that, I think I could remember the church is doing so much. The church in Nigeria is doing so much, to my understanding, because I know there is an assignment for the government, what the government is supposed to do. And there is a limit to which the church can also go, because
there cannot be a limit to the church going into farming.
No, I get what I'm trying to say, because I know of a particular church that call on everybody. There was an invitation for everyone that is into agriculture and everyone that studied agriculture in school. I could remember they were empowered, but you need to show an evidence that you are into farming. If you are into farming, for sure. I remember those individuals were empowered. The church is in FCT here, and I know of this church very well. I've seen of times where people were trained people, on entrepreneurship, and those people were actually empowered. I know of one or two persons that own a shop right now to that effect. So the church is doing so much in their own capacity, but the federal government should also do what they are supposed to do. And one thing again, does the church even have an enabling environment put together by the government so that they can even thrive and do all these things perfectly well? These are some of the things we should also take into consideration, because the church have its own assignment, the government also have their own assignment. So we cannot totally shift the blame, all right, to the Catholic bishop, because just like Peter Obi will always say, will always speak for the people. He, on his own part, is doing so much that some people don't even know.
Ramsey, let me come in here. The truth of the matter is, if CBCN should come up with a policy or a plan, agricultural plan, to say, well, how many bishops do we have in Nigeria? We have about 40 or 41 bishops in Nigeria. That is 41, Catholic bishops. This is CBCN,
okay.
Catholic bishops. To say, okay, let us embark on agricultural practices, and the federal government, we need to do some amount of billions of naira for us, because we know that federal government is Catholic Church is an organized institution that can channel all their resources into doing what they know how to do best. It is from that light that I'm coming in. And so if the federal government can, but you also mentioned enabling environment, security-wise. If the bishop accept to go into farming, how sure are we that the federal government will give us security? Because now people will be in their farming, and then somebody will come and kidnap them, and then they will start looking for
not only that. In the last months, there have been several reports of Catholic priests that have been abducted, kidnapped, and everything. So this insecurity is.
I know of one personally.
One was actually my classmate. Kenneth Kawa was my classmate.
They faced a lot of, we call it persecution. Is it the right word to use in this scenario?
Yeah,
they faced a lot of things. So an enabling environment has to be created by the government. There is
I think why the Catholic bishop are even saying this is that they themselves are not exempted from this hardship.
They're not exempted.
They are not exempted from this hardship,
because your congregation is also your congregations are made up of your congregation is made up of 90.
One thing is the burden increases on the bishop, because the more the people are pushed into hardship, they fall back to the bishop.
Yes,
to beg. Some of that
your church and say,
all of that.
I need this and all of
welfare
that.
And all of that.
Them calling out the federal government,
I think it's not out of place.
It's not out of place.
It's
and
not
another thing is, like Ramsey said when we started, that these political parties, once an opposition comes, they say, oh, it's because you're opposition, that's why you are saying this. And even remember when Atiku said, if the shoes are too big for you, pull it off, something figurative along that line, telling Tinubu that if the position is overwhelming, just let go of it. Let someone who is capable, let someone who can strategize better come on board and actually improve Nigeria. So all of these things, the federal government has been taking these comments, these criticisms with sentiments, making it look as though Nigerians don't have the right or don't have the freedom of expression of saying, this is what we want and you're not giving us what we want. And when you make statements concerning the issues in Nigeria, to them it looks as though you're trying to challenge their authority.
Well, that's true.
If you're doing something right, no, but any sane, every average Nigerian, if the economy is going very right, they would always praise the government and say good things about the government. So the CBCN's call is not out of place.
Well, this is going to be the size of the big story today, and this is going to be the size of this morning's program at Noba has come to an end. Well, you can always try everything possible to make sure you manage what you have at this very particular point in time. Live within your means. And
to add, please, from today, Nigerian breweries has increased price of their products. So I think you can suspend that for now. So you channel the little you have into buying food stuff for your family instead of using 850 naira for a bottle of beer.
My name is Ramsey, and it's been Anthony Nwokolo and, of course, Christopher. Have a beautiful day and see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.